taxpayer dollars to terrorize law-abiding immigrants, kill U.S. citizens, detain children, and endanger communities. What the American public have seen unfold in Minnesota with the murders of Alex Preddy and Renee Good has just been terrible, and it's been the last straw for too many Americans. Let's not forget how we got here. Last year, House Republicans passed the Big Ugly Law to rip health care and food away to American families, and they used those cuts to pay for $200 billion to the Department of Homeland Security, including $75 billion to ICE. That's more than 7 times the ICE annual budget. Let that sink in for a moment. Rather than making life more affordable for American families, Republicans decided to use their signature piece of legislation to give a blank check to Kristi Noem. Now, we've seen this out-of-control, bloated agency carry out some of the most horrific crimes in American history. From trampling on the Constitution to murdering U.S. citizens and violating civil and human rights, there is no question that this brutality must end, and House Democrats are united in that. We cannot act like this is business as usual. That's why Democrats are using every tool at our disposal to hold this administration accountable, and that starts with removing the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Democrats are joining the American people in demanding that federal immigration agents are held to the same standards as our local police officers. Our caucus is united in demanding 4 common sense reforms. Body cameras must be required by law, and masks must come off. Judicial warrants are a requirement, not a suggestion. We must have independent investigations to prosecute agents responsible for carrying out abuses. And finally, there needs to be clear guidelines on use of force. Democrats won't rest until we enact real change in this lawless agency. Vice Chair Luke.
Thank you, Chairman Aguilar. Trump's tariffs continue to increase inflation. The recent producer price index came in hot. Economists predicted a 0.2% rise. It was 0.5%. And what that means is tariffs are now causing businesses to pass on these increased costs to consumers. And what is Trump focused on? Closing the Kennedy Center. Apparently, he couldn't even get Kid Rock to perform there. And now we have this hallowed, amazing institution of the United States closed because Donald Trump royally screwed up when he vandalized it by putting his name on it. I agree with Chairman Aguilar with everything he said about Trump's ICE and Border Patrol. Trump's ICE and Border Patrol interior operations are out of control. Not only did they kill 2 civilians last month, but you see continuing videos and stories of their abuses. We learned recently that ICE shackled a woman for 24 hours in a bathroom with 3 other men. The faucet didn't work. And when the men would go to a toilet, the woman would hide her face. We know that ICE also detained a 5-year-old citizen, Liam, who then got sick because of the horrible conditions at the detention facility, and a federal judge ordered the release because ICE is just flat out violating the law. It turns out some of the folks that ICE is taking came in here legally through legal processes last year. And if the Trump administration doesn't like that, they've got to change the law. They can't just take people who came in here legally and then try to deport them. And that's why you have judges doing what they just did in this case and release 5-year-old Liam. I also want to echo what Chairman Aguilar said about Kristi Noem. Under her leadership, the Department of Homeland Security has killed a number of Americans. She needs to resign or she needs to be fired, and if not, impeachment proceedings need to proceed. And with that, I yield back.
Questions? Max?
As you mentioned, a lot of Democrats have issues with the way DHS and Kristi Noem are handling situations in the U.S. As a result, how will you vote on the funding package later today, which does provide temporary funding for DHS?
I think we'll have members on, some members will vote yes and some members will vote no. This has been a topic of discussion that we've had that you guys have reported on over the weekend. We had emergency caucus meetings where we were hearing from members. We understand the perspectives that our members bring to the table. Some of the appropriators feel like they need to support this deal. Other members feel deeply concerned that even 2 weeks of ICE continued funding is, in a sense, blessing what they have done and what they will continue to do, terrorizing our communities. But our caucus is united, and look, I know you folks are going to talk about this vote. We're opposing the rule because Speaker Johnson apparently told his crew that they could pass this on suspension over the weekend, as was reported. That's false. There was no discussion that would lead any rational person to believe that 100 Democrats could vote for this. If they have a problem passing these bills, they need to talk to Hakeem Jeffries. But the first step was in admitting that this can't pass on suspension. And so now they have to pass a rule. If they pass a rule, which we'll see in the next few hours, then we'll have a quick debate and we'll see where members land on this. This has been the unifying force of members, though, has been these themes, right? Has been Kristi Noem is the head of this agency that is seemingly lawless and doesn't care about the First, Second, Fourth, or 10th Amendment. And she's got to go. We want to protect our communities. We've said that from the very first press conference that the vice chair and I did last year after the president, pardoned violent criminals. And that continues to be a focal point, is what is best to protect our communities while respecting the rule of law. And what we know is that Kristi Noem doesn't believe in this. They're willing to let Stephen Miller make policy over there. And I think what members were also showed is 59% of Fox, this is a Fox poll, 59% said ICE was too aggressive. So Speaker Johnson is on the wrong side of this. He's already dismissing some of the reasonable reforms that we're offering. The proof continues to be the American people speaking in a poll, at Fox, or speaking at the ballot in Texas. The American people are fed up of this. They are fed up of lawless ICE. They are fed up of runaway budgets with no accountability, and they are fed up of the rhetoric that Republicans are trying to offer to justify this lawlessness. And it's going to be on us. It's going to be on House Democrats to push back. And we will push back now. We will push back in February, and we will push back all the way through November until we get an opportunity to change the temperature in this place.
A few weeks ago, I went to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and met with nonprofit groups and local law enforcement. We did a Democratic field hearing, and their stories of abuse are horrific. You have Trump's ICE completely being out of control. We also know that the public pressure is working. The Trump administration is starting to backtrack. They removed Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Greg Bovino from Minnesota. We also know that he has now engaged in anti-Semitic comments. He needs to resign. We also know that Kristi Noem yesterday issued a directive saying all field agents in Minneapolis must wear body cameras. That is a start, but every one of their agents across America needs to wear body cameras like real police officers do. And I encourage American people to continue this public pressure and to exercise their First Amendment rights.
Michael?
Just to drill down before I ask my question, you're going to wait to see if the Republicans can pass a rule before you decide how you're going to vote, or you know?
Or I'm going to wait until we pass a rule before I tell people what I'm going to vote. But either way, it serves the same purpose. But look, we've over the last couple of days, the vice chair and I have tried to create an environment with the leadership team where we hear directly from members who are struggling, who are frustrated by what they see. And the week back home, where we talked to folks in our communities about the local lawlessness of ICE, really put a finer point on that. We weren't, in DC comparing notes. We were back home talking to our communities, and we're the ones that have to look folks in the eye who have experienced some of these tragedies and horrific behavior. The vice chair in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and many other folks visiting ICE detention facilities or trying to visit ICE detention facilities or talking to community leaders and advocates. But time and time again, what we hear from our colleagues is we have to make changes. We have to reform DHS. They were given unlimited amounts of money by House Republicans, and we need to have meaningful reforms because they are unchecked. They have been proven time and time again unworthy of our trust and unworthy of the benefit of the doubt. All of us are here on the Democratic side. I know the vice chair and I feel this way. We want government to work. We know it can be an instrument of good. We know it can help people in their daily lives. And what these folks are doing sets all of us back because they are now going to be afraid. And I talked to our local law enforcement leaders about this in San Bernardino County last week. Local law enforcement is concerned that people aren't going to report crime or they aren't going to say that they are a witness of a crime, because they're afraid that everybody is working with ICE. And that hurts us. If people don't feel like they can answer a police officer's question on what they saw for fear of their status, that sets us all back. Have been doing well and have been doing with the trust and support of our community members.
Mr. Chairman, really quickly, you all got a 3-year extension through a discharge petition. It's languishing in the Senate right now. It's not looking like it's going to get
Yeah.
a vote. You and Republicans are far looking to get in a world where any of these different ways that they could. Are you concerned that the Senate in the Senate right now is the same thing that will be happening on?
I'm more optimistic that House that forming ICE, and I know that our Senate faces difficulties with 60 votes and needing. I will tell you that the conversations I've had with the united with us, they want to stand with us to reform the stand up and speak up and use their voice and their platform. And they see that this administration is trying to tell us, don't believe your eyes. They're not worthy of that. So, I feel confident and message, no matter what the vote outcome is, get rid of Kristi Noem and how we ensure that DHS, and that's going to take significant reforms to get there. One step at a time. Afternoon, we have our vote. I'm not going to presuppose what, but I will tell you that it's been, shocking to see that to this lawless agency, they're seeing the same numbers and the same standing with us and asking us to do something. And John Thune and willing to just let let the status quo continue. Andrew, and then
leverage that is needed to do things like get Kristi Noem out of office, including, beyond body cameras and things that folks say are the base when inevitably there are enough members who have said on final passage. What will you say to the base when they say you guys have just given up your leverage?
what I'll say to all of you, we got to see what happens with this rule vote. You're making an assumption. It's fair. That's fine. I'll play along. But outside, whatever organizations you call it is, 6 months away, not in the next appropriation cycle, not to make our voices heard in the next 10 days. And if we're seemingly already with us, that's a good first step. With this vote, but I feel very confident saying that House Democrats are that we want done, and we aren't settling for and Speaker Johnson don't want to come to the table and negotiate real reform. Doing, but that's not going to be on us. It's going to be on them approving the lawlessness of ICE without making simple reforms that respect the level of accountability and oversight over these agencies.
Today stems from Leader Schumer talking directly to the White House. Conversations, especially if we get down to the road of negotiating possible changes.
Conversation, last week, that's fine. Look, we play the cards we were dealt. We're voting on the measures. Hurt feelings about, missing a phone call. I don't care about that. My colleague coming up shortly, and then we have the full bill that includes DHS. That's in front of us. We've been asking for simple reforms to work with the American public and build a coalition that can enact meaningful reforms to this agency.
Ahead of the contempt vote, Republicans gave them a noon deadline. I'm curious. There seems like obviously several Democrats broke. I guess, do you guys think do House Democrats owe it to a former them from bipartisan subpoenas?
Like this is about, and I don't want to get about their votes and explain their votes, but criminal contempt of Congress is a very serious vote on something that serious when someone completely come in and meet. The Clintons have proposed a chairman has offered. So clearly there is no basis behind. There's no basis for that. We won't support that. Of Chairman Comer. All right, this is, I told you before when this came, him wanting to score political points because he probably was at a rally at some point. Him trying to fulfill that, conservative, wet dream. The politics of this moment, but there's no basis for a contempt.
In Bill and Hillary Clinton, it's because they're trying to distract thousands of times. In those files, there's highly of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. And I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just essentially that it is not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein was human trafficking the establishment at that party. Yes. Sex trafficking law. So Deputy General Todd Blanche just got folks, including Donald Trump. He needs to read the law and investigate these people. A massive, not only screw up, but a lot of pictures of minors unredacted, just uncalled for what they did. The one thing that they could not were victims of sex trafficking. Move her to minimum security prison and then got a puppy for her. So for all.
Thank you.